Hey everybody, it's Mike Morgan at over50cycling.com. And today's episode is going to be about how to come back from setbacks. So if you haven't noticed, I haven't posted a blog post in probably a couple months. Well, first of all, the chain of events has happened. First off, my office got burglarized, which set me back a couple of weeks. And I was training all through that as much as I could. I did have a few late nights here at the office trying to get things set up, but I overcame that actually fairly easily. But the next thing was soon, maybe a couple weeks after, I didn't have a lot of desire to train. For some reason, I was just feeling really run down. And then, well, I'll get graphic. I guess I was peeing blood, and that concerned me quite a bit. So I went into the doctor, and he checked me out and took some blood tests, and turns out my PSA was high, which is the prostate specific antigen. So he had me come in and do it again a week later. I went in and I took him, and we set an appointment for the week after. And I went in, and the doctor said, "Hey, your PSAs were here in the first test, and they're here in the second test, which was lower." And he explained to me that these PSA tests aren't necessarily a super strong indicator that there's cancer or anything. So he had me go and see a urologist, and they checked me out, and it turns out the happiest I ever been to find out I have an infection. So I had a prostate infection, and they put me on antibiotics, which I don't really like to take prescription drugs too much, but when you need to, you need to. So, and I hardly have ever taken antibiotics in my life, so no big deal. And I ended up getting my desire to train back again. And at least during that whole time when things were sketchy, I was still on my bike, 2 or 3 days a week, probably getting, at least 5 hours a week. So the doctor said to me that it was okay for me to, continue training as long as I didn't go into the red very much, which, to me was perfect because I knew exactly what I needed to do next training wise. And that was like do a nice endurance block. And so as I'm feeling better from the infection starting to clear up and still on antibiotics, I mean, even now, I'm a couple days away from finishing everything off. But so I did an endurance block, and that's the best place to go if you've had a setback and you've missed a bunch of training. Always try to at least make sure you get 2 or 3 days of training in every week, and then do an endurance block. And so basically, what I did was I did 200 miles in about 6 days. I got in a nice long 55-mile ride. I also got in a 66-mile ride, and then some 30s and 40s. And I'll tell you what, at the end, I did that 66-mile ride the last day, and was actually feeling really, really, really good at the end of it. I felt like I could have went even further. So thank goodness that I'd had that a good training block in November, December, and January. And February, at least I kept up a little bit, and it helped me to get to that place where I could do that endurance block. So I've got the endurance block out of the way, and my next step is I'm going back and revisiting some of the stuff that I should have been doing had I not been feeling poorly. So next week, my focus is back on to tempo to push that lactate threshold up, and some more high cadence intervals to get my efficiency back. I'm still feeling pretty darn good in the saddle, but not perfect, and just need a little bit of extra work here to brush up. I skipped last week's race. I may skip next week's race too, because I think my antibiotics finish maybe Monday. So I'm still debating on whether I'll race next week or not. But yeah, things are clearing up, and you make the best of a bad situation. If you've had a setback, try and stay in the saddle a couple of days a week at least. And when you're done, if it's taking you some time to get things cleared up, then go and do that endurance block. You don't have to go hard. I think I was averaging 16, 17 miles an hour, something like that on my endurance rides. So nothing too hard. But still working on my endurance, getting that endurance back. And now I'm going back to the foundational work of some high cadence work and some tempo work to push that lactate threshold up. So there's your prescription from Dr. Mike. Do check with your doctor if you've got a problem or have that kind of setback. Always, talk to your doctor. But that's what worked for me. And hopefully, if you ever get unfortunate enough to have a problem like that, then it might work for you. So that's it from over50cycling.com. I'll be hopefully getting more blog posts, get back to the once a week situation, and got a great season ahead of us, a lot of miles to be ridden, and the weather's getting better, so we're all excited about it. And I'm excited to help you guys out as much as I can. So that's it from me, and I'll see you next time.